Hello YouTube, this is the Dbtgamer show, episode 140. And today I'm going to review Worms Open Warfare 2 on Nintendo DS. I'm a really big fan of the Worms games, and I don't actually live too far from where they make these games, so I think it's about time I reviewed one. So let's get started. That's my DS setup, so let's start this view. Now, Worms Open Warfare 2 is a very good game. Although, Worms Open Warfare 1 was rubbish. The main problem with Worms Open Warfare 1, which I never reviewed, was it was too short. Now, Worms Open Warfare 2 is a lot better because there's a lot more stuff to do on it. Anyway, let's talk about Worms Open Warfare 2. Now, the graphics of Worms Open Warfare 2 are very, very good. This game is also available on the PSP as well as the DS. Although the DS has some exclusive features that the PSP doesn't have that I will try and talk about in the review. Now, the graphics of the DS version, I think they're very, very good. It's quite easy to see your worms. It's quite easy to see what's going on when you're doing your battles. The multiplayer for this game is also very good. You can play with your friends via Wi-Fi, if you've got their friend codes, of course. And you can also do random battles with people from around the world, if you are looking to find someone online. So the multiplayer for this game is also very good. Controls for this game, they are also very good. Let me just boot up a quick game and I'll talk about controls. Load times for this game, they don't take too long. Right. Left and right moves your worm. Oh wait, Left and right moves your worm. Y brings out your weapons. If you hold down L and move around, you can look at the landscape, which is always useful, so you can plan your route. And to aim your gun, you can you press up and down, and you press and hold A sometimes to fire weapons. I'm just gonna quit that now. So then the controls of the game. The controls for the DS version work very well. There's no stylus controls in the main game. The stylus controls come in the little laboratory section of the game, which I will talk about later. So the controls for the game are very good. The music of the game, it's okay. The gameplay for this game, it's a strategy sort of game. You gotta use your weapons to try and eliminate the other team as quickly as possible, but there's a lot, you've got to plan everything out. There's a lot of strategies to this game. The good stuff about this game, well, the good stuff about this game, the gameplay is very good. If you like strategy games, of course. Cutscenes in this game, the cutscenes are very good. The cutscenes are probably some of the most funniest cutscenes I've ever seen in a Worms game. You know, the Worms series has always had a lot of humour, and the cutscenes do reflect that a lot. So the cutscenes in this game are very, very funny. So, throughout the game, there are several things you can do in the single player mode. There are 35 different puzzles to complete. The puzzles, a lot of them can be quite tricky. You got to you get a certain amount of weapons and a certain amount of worms to defeat, and you've got to use the weapons in your infantry to defeat the worms, to defeat your enemy. And the puzzles can be quite difficult. The next mode you get is the main campaign. Now the main campaign is the main story of the game, I suppose. and there's about 30 levels, and you go through each level, and every so often you get a cutscene, and you get to watch a bit more of the story. So the main campaign is good. Once you beat the main campaign, you can actually buy 5 secret levels, which have nothing to do with the story, from the shop. Now the next bit is the laboratory. Now the laboratory, I think this is exclusive to the DS version because the PSP has no touchscreen, of course. Now the laboratory has 3 different modes, which I think are exclusive to the DS version. There's these little experiments that you can do. The first one I'm going to show you is called Blast. In this one, you have to get your worm to the end of the level the best way possible. So you have to touch the worm and create little blasts with your blast to get him through a level. It is very tricky, and I'm not too good at it. But it's quite fun once you get the hang of it. The next experiment is called Blow. Now, basically, Blow is very similar to Blast. You go in the level, and you have to get your worm to move through the landscape to the exit. And you get a parachute, and if you jump off a cliff, press the parachute deploy button, then blow into the microphone. You can make your worm hover through the level. And it is very, very tricky. But it can be quite fun once you get the hang of it. The final thing in the laboratory that you can do is called Draw. Now, Draw is a very weird game mode. And I am absolutely crap at these drawing puzzles because I'm not really that, I suppose I'm just not that good at them. Basically, what you have to do is draw lines so you can get your worm to the exit, and it can be very, very tricky. My friend Adam is actually really, really good at these puzzles, but I'm not so good. And that's the laboratory mode. Laboratory mode, it's fun, but most of the missions, mini-games, whatever you want to call them, that you can do in there are just basic extras for the DS version. The next mode you get is the mode that I always play first in a Worms game, is the training mode. The training mode is basically your tutorials. In the laboratory mode, you get 10 blast missions, 10 drawing missions, and 10 blow missions. Now I'm going to talk about some more stuff in the game. In this game, there's a lot of customization things that you can do. You can make your own team. You can make your own weapon scheme, so you can have so you can pick which weapons you have when you're playing 2-player with your friends, which is nice. You can even build your own levels. I've never done this on the PSP version, but on the DS version it's quite a lot of fun because you can just use your stylus and draw whatever you fancy. Anyway, YouTube, I've run out of time, so I'll see you in part 2.